The Pope, actually died this morning, and the last person that he met with was J.D. Vance. I feel like that may have stressed him out a bit.
Hey guys, it's Agara Cindy. Welcome back again to another video. How are you all doing? I trust you guys are having a good time today. If you are new here, hi. Thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. So people are reacting to J.D. Vance meeting with Pope Francis on Easter Sunday. In case you've not heard about the news, Pope Francis died this morning, Easter Monday, being the 21st of April 2025. So J.D. Vance showed up at the Vatican expecting an audience with Pope Francis. But Pope Francis refused to meet with J.D. Vance because J.D. was going after American bishops for their support of immigrants and refugees, even directly coming for Pope Francis because Pope pleaded with Trump's administration to have mercy on immigrants and refugees in America. So instead of meeting with Pope, it was the Secretary of State of the Vatican who met with J.D. Vance in order to lecture him on what compassion is. So people said that J.D. Vance thought that being the vice president earned him the respect and power to meet with the Pope. On TikTok, people are making loads of videos reacting or talking about the vice president's meeting with the Pope, and of course, sad that Pope is no longer here with us. I have put together these videos. Please check them out.
So the Pope died, and his final meeting was with this human potato. He spent his final hours with Miss Judith Delight Vance herself, telling her to stop being such a fucking asshole. The Pope literally asked to meet with JD, who is a devout Catholic, because this administration is, doing things like sending innocent Americans to concentration camps in El Salvador, things like that. And before this, the Pope sent a cardinal to him and was like, hey, JD, Jennifer Daniel, the Pope's upset. He wants you to stop. He wants you to be a good person. And JD was like, okay, Grandpa, whatever. And the Pope heard about this and he was like, okay, JD, Miss Jasmine Diamond Kennedy Vance Couch, you need to come and speak with me personally, please. And so he went and again was like, hey, JD, can you tell your boss to stop? Remember all of these things that you say that you believe in? Perhaps you could help kind of lead the administration in that way. And then he fucking died. So he spent his final hours on this earthly plane with Miss Just Dance Vance, which if I were the Pope, I'd be fucking pissed.
Oh my God, J.D. Vance killed the Pope. I'm just kidding. He didn't. Or did he? He didn't. I'm just saying, timing, the Pope is dead. Pope is dead. He just passed. Sorry. It was announced minutes ago that Pope Francis passed away. My condolences to those of you who care. But you may want to sit the rest of this video out. Because, oh my God, it was J.D. Vance. Wasn't it? Wasn't it? I'm just saying, hours earlier, J.D. Vance was meeting with him after he was avoiding him because he was like, you're a bad dude. You're a bad dude. And you know how much it takes for the president of the largest PDF club to call you a bad dude? A lot. I mean, not so much if you're gay, obviously, or trans, or an unwed woman, or an indigenous child. Like a million other things. But this guy was actually pretty good on those things, relatively. Not so great on others, but slightly better on those. He also called him out on his, immigration policies and trying to use Catholicism to excuse atrocities. He was like, man, I know that that's what we do best, but only we get to do that. We're trying to clean up our image, We're trying to get back to what our main man Jesus used to say, like rich people suck and don't treat immigrants or sick people like crap. The old hits. Anyway, J.D. Vance successfully bullied the Pope into giving him an audience and some gifts. So, good job, J.D., I guess. Kind of feels like the devil in your heart took him out. Look, I'm not superstitious. But if you need any more evidence that the big kahuna is the Antichrist, I'm just saying his first VP had a fly crawl across his head for an hour without even flinching, and the second one killed the Pope.
So you're telling me that Pope Francis just left, okay? He's gonna go meet his maker. And this is after, big weekend, Easter weekend, way to hold on, way to do that. But the last 48 hours of his life, besides having the massive Easter ceremony that was going on, he got to meet J.D. Vance and basically let that man know that he is not living up to Christ's principles. I mean, the man, I guess, knew he was going to meet his maker very, very soon. And so he decided to tell the second in command to the most powerful person on the planet or whatever that, yeah, you need to be a better human being. Like, maybe understand some of Christ's teachings and care about, you know, the most vulnerable in society and migrants. I don't know. It was just... Look, I'm not religious anymore, and I was raised Catholic, but I'm not religious anymore, but fucking legend, okay? Fucking legend. Rest in peace, man.
J.D. Vance was fortunate enough to meet with Pope Francis on Easter Sunday, praying for his good health.
A few moments later.
Pope Francis has died this morning. That man went into the hospital, got double pneumonia, came out just so he could tear J.D. Vance a new ass, and then died. Like, literally the day after Easter? Is this just a continued sign of things to come? Look, all joking aside, though, this is a terrible time. I know that it may shock a lot of you, but I'm actually a Catholic, so this is going to be a time of mourning for a lot of us. And yeah, what a hopefully the new Pope will bring in some fresh ideas and rejuvenate the papacy and hopefully lead us in a better direction, because right now humanity seems to need a leader better than the ones we've got.
This is horrible, and this is tragic news. Pope Francis died on Easter Monday, April 21st, 2025, at the age of 88 at his residence in Vatican's Casa Santa Maria, 1936 to 2025. Okay, the Pope has died on Easter Monday, but there's something else that's a little bit sus. Does anybody else remember that the Pope would not meet with J.D. Vance? Would not meet with J.D. Vance, and then did meet with J.D. Vance? Find yourself happy Easter. All I'm saying is it's a little bit sus that the Pope meets with J.D. Vance. Less than 24 hours later, the Pope is no more. I'm just saying it's a weird coincidence, and not how I had anything on my bingo card happening today. I should never get up in the middle of the night to get a drink, because when I do, apparently, the Pope is gone.
The Pope died this morning. The Pope, actually died this morning. And the last person that he met with was J.D. Vance. I feel like that may have stressed him out a bit, considering he initially turned down his visit request and sent a bishop to talk to him about compassion. I don't get into conspiracy theories much, but what are the chances? Think about that for a second. If this isn't a sign, then what the fuck is a sign? This is wild. Pope Francis was one of the best popes we've ever had in my lifetime. I grew up Catholic. I don't practice, but he was as close to a saint as I think I'll ever see. Vance's motorcade was at the Vatican for a total of 17 minutes yesterday on Easter Sunday. 17 minutes. And the next day the Pope is dead. My brain hurts.
Now, do I think that God kept the Pope alive, brought him back from the brink of death, just for him to turn around and completely shade J.D. Vance and have them lecture him on compassion? No, of course not. I'm agnostic. Why would I think that way? But is it just, a beautiful Easter morning? It sure is. It sure is. Happy Easter.
Oh my god, y'all. Look at this. Apparently, while J.D. Vance was visiting the Vatican, the Pope sent his assistant to give J.D. Vance a lecture on humanity and compassion. More specifically, there was an exchange of opinions on the international situation, especially regarding countries affected by war, political tensions, and difficult humanitarian situations, with particular attention to migrants, refugees, and prisoners. AKA what we're doing right now. And in case you didn't know, this isn't like new shocking behavior from the Pope. The Pope famously and publicly really hates Trump, specifically calling his mass deportation effort a disgrace and a grave sin. But new or not, it's still funny nonetheless. And if you're thinking, hey, wasn't he just recently really sick with pneumonia? Maybe this is just all blown out of proportion. Yeah, it's not. Apparently, he's resumed official duties and even was fine to meet in person with Charles and Camilla when they visited the Vatican last week. But at the end of the day, whether he said it to him directly or indirectly, he said it to him nonetheless. And I, for one, just think it is the most fascinating thing to see him sitting there like that with his hands folded in prayer, knowing what he is doing to people. All in the name of God Almighty. So you know what? Hell yeah, Pope Francis. Because for these MAGA Republicans, religion and religious leaders are like their moral authority. And while they now give that honor to Trump for some reason, I'd like to think that they still hold the Pope in some sort of high esteem and put some weight to this message that the Pope has given not only J.D. Vance, but the entire administration, our entire country, the entire world, that he's not at all okay with the humanitarian crisis that we are in right now. So yes, very funny, but also very awesome. What do you guys think? Will MAGA take this seriously? Let me know in the comments.
I said that I wanted the Pope to throw some good old Catholic guilt J.D. Vance's way, and the progressive little bastard had to go and die on him the same day he met J.D. Vance. And I don't mean to speak ill of the dead. I don't. But you can't tell me that's not some cosmic Catholic guilt right there, okay? After asking his second in command to give J.D. Vance a lecture on empathy the day before, he finally does a little photo op, a little introduction, and then goes and dies that night. Listen, pour one out for this guy. Good God. Oh, what a day. It just feels, again, I'm calling it cosmic Catholic guilt because there ain't no Catholic guilt like when someone passes away, let alone the Pope. But I will say this. Pope Francis made calls to people in need in Palestine every single night until he physically could not, and was an advocate for marginalized communities, was an advocate for many things that I would say are not the popular choice in that type of religious setting. So I will give some credit where credit is due, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Catholics. I'm sure my Catholic mother has lots to say about the content I've made this week, but regardless. So rest in peace to this guy, and I hope the Catholic guilt is being thrown his way.
So I took some screenshots of comments, but before I show you this comment, I understand that some people may be asking what happens, when a pope dies. Now, I have this video I want us to see. If you are interested, please keep watching this part. If you are not, you can skip this part and then see the comment.
Pope Francis has died, but what happens when a pope dies? First, the pope's death must be officially confirmed by calling out his name 3 times. If there's no response, the pope is then declared dead to the church staff and the public. His apartment is then locked and his ring and lead seal smashed to symbolize the end of his rule. The funeral must take place 4 to 6 days after his death, and mourning should last 9 days. Then a special group of cardinals start making their way to the Vatican to begin their secretive process of electing a new pope. They lock themselves away in the Sistine Chapel, completely disconnected from media and phones, and vote. Each time they fail to get a majority vote, they burn the ballots and release black smoke. When we see white smoke, a new pope is elected.
Following the death of Pope Francis, a new pope now must be chosen. So here are the leading candidates who might be elected to the role. So the election of a pope follows centuries-old Vatican traditions. The College of Cardinals, composed of those under 80 years old, will vote in secret ballots inside the Sistine Chapel. A 2/3 majority is required to elect a new pope. If no consensus is reached, additional rounds of voting will continue until someone emerges with the necessary support. So if you see black smoke coming out of the Sistine Chapel, it means that no pope was chosen. If you see white smoke coming out of the chapel, it means a pope was chosen. Now, this is a very political process, and there's a lot of ideology differences here, like progressivism versus conservatism, but here are the 4 leading candidates. Starting with Luis Antonio Tagle from the Philippines. He's considered a strong contender to continue Pope Francis's progressive agenda. He's an advocate for inclusion and evangelization and has significant experience leading the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples and was a trusted figure in Francis's inner circle. Next is Pietro Parolin. He is 70 years old and he's one of the most experienced Vatican officials. In his role as the Vatican Secretary of State since 2013, he has played a major part in diplomatic affairs, including sensitive negotiations with China and Middle Eastern governments. He's seen as a moderate theological candidate, someone who could provide stability while maintaining some of Francis's reforms. Next is Peter Turkson. He's from Ghana and he's a well-known figure in the church's social justice circles. He's been very vocal on issues such as climate change, poverty, and economic justice, and his election would mark a historic moment as the first African-American pope in centuries. And finally, there's Peter Erdo. He's a leading conservative candidate. He's a respected canon law scholar and has been a strong advocate for traditional Catholic teachings and doctrines, but all of this will be taking place in the next month or so. There's a pretty strict process they go through before electing a new pope, but once again, rest in peace to Pope Francis. It's just really sad news.
On your screen are some of the screenshots of comments I grabbed randomly so you guys can see other people's opinion. You can please pause to read these comments if you want to. Honestly, guys, I don't know what to say, having seen these reaction videos. Personally, I can't say what I'm not sure of. Now, people assuming that J.D. Vance meeting with the Pope was a bad omen. Now, I feel that it is a coincidence. I mean, it happened. Okay, it happened. But then again, some people are saying that they love the fact that, Pope finally met with J.D. Vance, after all the things J.D. Vance said, about Pope Francis. But then again, the fact that he finally met with J.D. Vance and possibly prayed for him and forgave him, had dinner or lunch with him, it is that one for a lot of people. Like, he made peace with J.D. Vance, basically. And also, I think that J.D. Vance really need to look at, what people are saying about him. He really need to pay attention to that. Because what makes you a good leader? A good leader should listen to his people. Pay good attention to what they're saying, because I don't like what I'm seeing on social media, the way people are, dragging him after meeting with the Pope. It is not good. Anyways, you guys, I thought to react to this viral news, and of course, for us to see the videos that people are making about J.D. Vance and his meeting with the Pope. Before I end this video, I just want to say rest in peace to Pope Francis, who just died. I mean, that he died on Easter Monday. Wow. All I can say is may God rest his soul. Let me know what you all think in the comments, guys. And thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, share, comment, and of course, come back for another one. I'm going to see y'all in my next video. Y'all have a lovely day. Bye.